My name's Lauren Yeates and I'm 20 years old and I'm a radio presenter and a panel operator. Well, with a panel operator, you pretty much press all the buttons and you can in control of putting a show to air. So whether that is turning on the mics or playing the music or everything, all the commercials and everything. So that's what I do at Today FM. And then with my community station, Swar FM, I'm radio presenter. So I do all the interviews, I organise all the interviews and figure out what I'm going to say. And yeah, as I said, come up with all the questions and then even playing all the music. So I actually don't have any assistants or anything. It's fully me. So I'm also the producer of my own show. Well, my show is very success-based, so I always like to find out how people got to where they are today, whether that is a celebrity or someone that's up and coming or something that's happened dramatically in their life. Like I've interviewed a shark attack survivor once before and that was just incredible. Like it gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it because he's just been through so much. He lost his hand and his leg and now he's a motivational speaker. So it's just, in a way, it's for myself, like to find out how they got to where they are, but I also love to find out how they become successful. So the people that are listening to my show can do the same if they want to. So if their biggest dream is to be a singer, then I have singers on my show. Well, I have several ways, and as simple as it sounds, Facebook is an amazing thing. So everybody's got to get onto Facebook, and try to make it as professional as you can. With my Facebook page, I know a lot of people have like a professional Facebook page and then their personal, and sometimes they might use different names. But for me, it's just strictly Lauren Yeates on Facebook. I do put personal stuff up, but that's mostly because of my fans. They actually want to know what I'm up to. So I put all that up, but I also have just a Facebook page just for the show. But other than that, everything's on my Facebook anyway. So Facebook is an amazing thing. If they're really big artists, you know, say it's like Justin Bieber or something or One Direction, if you message them on Facebook, you're not going to get a reply. First of all, most of them are, you know, like pages. So you go like the page, and if you message them, most of the time they're not going to see it because it's going to go to like an other folder. Facebook's really got to fix that, by the way. But I do that a lot of the time. So Facebook is amazing. So that's how I got into the shark attack survivor. Sometimes I actually have to send the message a couple of times for them actually to reply to me, which is fine. You know, persistence is the key. So he eventually replied to me and he came on the show. Otherwise, and another amazing thing is just to, if you do see them face to face, go up and ask. Like if you don't say anything or don't ask them if they want to come on the show, the answer is always going to be no. So whether I go see a musical or, you know, a big show, I go to stage door or I, you know, make sure I can try to see them somehow to talk to them face to face, because that's also the key, to see them face to face and not try to rely on emails and text messages and phone calls a lot of the time, because face to face, then they know who you are. They know how charming you are, and you know, if you're a young girl like me, they want to help you out. So that's another really big thing. And the third thing I got to say, I don't tell many people this because it is a bit of a secret, but a lot of this is actually really good for media students because not many people know about it. It is something you have to pay for, but it's an incredible tool. It's actually a website called contactanyscelebrity.com, and yes, definitely make a note of that, because yes, you have to pay for the subscription and everything, but you have the access to every single celebrity in the world. And you're obviously not going to get their personal phone number or email, but you get, you know, their manager, their publicist, their attorney if you want to sue them. So you get all the contacts, and that's another really good tool for me. So a lot of the big celebrities I've had on, I interviewed Adam Savani, who's from the Step Up movies, so he's an Hollywood actor, and I got him through that website.
Swar FM.
I have got a snake. And it's not just a little snake, it's quite a large one.
Yes.
He's coming to say hello to you. Alrighty, you ready?
So I wanted to share this experience with all of you.
Pop him around your shoulders, so just Look at the camera.
Wow, he is really heavy. We got such a great show planned tonight. Privileged to be here with ex-Just Remember Kitas. Hey, well, we're here with Trent and Will from the Collective. Hey guys, can you reveal to us what you're playing tonight?
No.
Maybe? No? Damn it, I tried. Happy Australia Day, everyone. With my interviewing, I wanted to be different because everybody does interviews, especially with celebrities, and you know, I just think they're all the same and they get really boring, you know, same questions, and even the interviewee gets bored because, wow, I have to answer this question again. So I wanted to take a different approach. Yes, I'm finding out how people got to where they are. Not many people ask that. Like, you know, it's a very important question in my mind and people don't ask it more. So that's one thing. I always like to take a different angle from what everyone else is asking. So how they got to where they are today, what advice would they give to listeners, all that sort of stuff. But another thing is, especially with the big radio stations and big TV stations, they treat celebrities like celebrities. And I actually personally hate that. You know, everyone's the same, and if you actually ask any celebrity, they hate being treated like celebrities, unless they're, you know, really up themselves, but most of them want to be treated like normal people. You know, they were before they were celebrities, so what's different? So, you know, if someone comes in, or even over the phone, it's a bit harder over the phone, but making them feel comfortable, making them feel like I'm their friend and we're just having a conversation. So a lot of the time, you know, I might have an interview that goes for an hour, you know, no music whatsoever, and I have to edit down dramatically because we've just had this big chat, and it's like, we better go back to what we were talking about before because we go off in a tangent. But that makes the best interviews because they're comfortable, and another thing is they want to come on the show again. So you get that really great rapport with them, they want to keep in contact with you, and it becomes a really good contact for you too. So I've even made so many great friendships out of the show as well. So I think my interview tips: make them feel comfortable, ask questions that no one else is asking, because, you know, you don't want to make the interview boring. And even with me, I, you know, might ask the same questions, or, you know, the serious questions, but at the end of my interviews I always play a game and ask some really fun questions, you know, for the girls, you know, find out if you're a male singer you have a crush on, is he single, that sort of stuff. And, you know, just even little things about their personal life. You know, I think people really open up when they talk about themselves, because people like talking about themselves. So I think that's another really good tip. You know, play some games, play some, you know, ask some personal questions as well. I would definitely advise students to contact as many people as possible. The reason why is, even if more people get back to you, then you have, even if you're writing an article, it doesn't have to be radio or TV, then you have, you know, more of a selection. And if you want to interview several people, then you've got those interviews, obviously, if you ever need them in the future. And if you are writing an article, then you can, you know, have different angles of your story. But if no one gets back to you, you know, don't take it personally. You know, some people are like, oh God, they don't like me, or, you know, they're not giving me their time or whatever. Don't take it personally. I think just kind of roll with the punches. But as I said, always have a backup plan. So I learned at college that, you know, you can easily get an interview with someone that everybody's interviewing. But at the end of the day, there's a really good quote that a teacher told me once, and it said, always, I think it was something like, interview the grave digger. Grave digger is always the word in my head. That there was I really don't remember the story very well, but that was a key thing I learned, that there was this guy that had passed away and everyone was going to interview like the parents and the loved ones, but there was this one journalist that interviewed the grave digger because he was the last person with the body. That gives me shivers, and it's a real realization. So try to interview people that no one else would interview, like people that you don't even think about interviewing. Well, I am preparing for my show right now, and this is actually pretty much the first thing I do when I come to the station. So I have obviously each part of my interview, if it's a pre-record, and all my songs already on a USB, and then I put them in the system, and then I have to put them in the system again. It's complicated. But all I do is I insert, and then I go, at this station we all have a broadcasters folder, so that's where I put all my stuff. So I just go into my own broadcasters folder, and everyone organizes their broadcasters folder a different way here. Yeah, we're all different. So I have like a folder for all my sweepers and my tags. So every time a celebrity, or every time I get a guest in, I always get them to do what I call tags, but apparently in the industry they call them IDs. So hi, I'm Lauren Yeates, and you're listening to Rave It Up. That sort of stuff. So if they're really well known, if they're a singer, I always go, hey, get them to do a song intro. So it'll be like, hey, I'm Lauren Yeates, and this is my song on Rave It Up. Things like that. So they're really, really valuable, because if you play them during the show, then people are like, ooh, she's had that person on. That's great. So I always have a folder for them, and a folder just my music. So what I'm inserting right now is my main sweeper. So you could call it an intro to my show. So I call it a sweeper though, so it's just always the intro of my show.
I listen like 24 hours a day.
Before it actually gets into it, before I even talk. So it gets people in the mood, and they're like, oh, this sounds awesome. I'm hoping they say that. And then I insert another intro as well. So it will play like that sweeper, and then it'll play like a nice sound effect. Sounds pretty newsy actually, but I use that every time for everything Rave It Up related, so that's what I do. And then make sure I save it. It's very important, saving. Other than that, yeah, it's all my music and all my interview parts. And I actually, this is actually a good point, because people can either just improvise or they can script. For me, I like to script, because I do kind of get nervous on air. But over the time I've got more comfortable. The mic not an issue anymore. It's like my friend. But I do actually script it out when I'm at home. But because they're my own words, I don't sound like I'm reading from a script. But that's a little secret of mine. But other than that, sometimes I might not even read from a script. I might just go with the flow, and it just sounds more casual. But I also write down, when I'm playing what. I also like to talk over song intros. It sounds much more professional. That's what they do in commercial radio. So I also time at home, figure out how long the intro is and how long I can talk over the intro, because it sounds great. So I'll also, as I said, write down everything I'm playing, when and where, what I'm saying. Even if I want to make sure I enunciate a word properly, I'll actually underline it. Like, I am very organized, very control freak. But when I get in here, I make sure everything is in its place, and that if I'm saying, okay, let's find out, what, I'm playing Jason Owen today, who's from The X Factor, and, one of the first things I say is, let's hear about his experience on The X Factor, and then I make sure to play it before I go on air, because that might be another part of the interview and I'll embarrass myself. So make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. So that's my process. Must say, the most challenging aspect of my job has gotta be, I have a few, I think. Number one, trying to get people on the show, especially if they're bigger and you really want, like with me, there's a few people I really want to interview, and it's really challenging because they're like, well, you're at a community station, we could easily go to somewhere like Today I Film on Nova and do one interview, and it goes to so many more people. So that's one of the most challenging things, trying to convince them that I'm worthy of your time. The other thing, I think another thing is with my interviews, I am doing so many pre-recorded interviews lately, and I'm so booked up. Like the other day I was stressing so much because, especially the interviews I'm doing lately, it's like, oh, sorry, I can't play your interview till June. Is that all right? So I feel a bit bad, and I've had to, pretty much write it all out and figure out when I'm playing what, and if I can, play 2 interviews in the one show. And it's just been really stressful. But for a little bit of advice with students, if you ever get to that point, write it all out and try to figure out, you know, it's better when you write it all out because you can see it. So that's been another really challenging aspect. The best thing about my job, God, I have so many. I think the number one thing is just interviewing people that I never dreamed of interviewing. I'm so proud of where I've gotten today. Like, I'm only 20 years old. Like, I can see, you know, a bigger and better future. But at my age, I'm just so proud of who I've interviewed. Like, I've actually printed out photos of who I've interviewed, and, you know, I always take a picture with them, and I've actually put them on my wall because I'm just so proud. Like, every time I look at it, I'm like, wow. You know, I've come so far, and that's, I think, a really important thing. If you've come really far, stay humble and really appreciate, you know, especially with me, I put so much work into where I've come, where I am today, and I think with pictures like that, it makes me, you know, stay humble and realize that, you know, there's people that are working really hard out there, and I always, as I say, you know, try to help others and help them get to where I am, because I have a lot of jealous people, I know that, but I don't mean to make them jealous. I'm just living my life. But with the best aspects, interviewing people I never dreamed of interviewing, and finding out how they got to where they are, because I think everybody has a story, but a lot of the time it's not told. So I will interview celebrities, but I'll also interview people that are not that well known. And the reason for that is because they're working their butt off as much as those celebrities. So I want to make sure people know that.